Hello everybody, and I am so glad that I start again recording the videos after a little break. So what I would like to say today, what I would like to talk about is why you are emotional. Yeah. So let's look at the possibilities of us being emotional in human design. So if you feel that you haven't seen your chart, but if you feel that the emotions of others really impact you, and you're very sensitive towards how other people, the presence of other people, make you feel, if you're sensitive to all kinds of feelings when you go to public places, then most probably, if you really look at your chart, you will see that your solar plexus is open, is undefined, and that actually means that you amplify the emotions of others. Your center works as an amplifier, and everything that is perceived from the outside is doubled or tripled in its intensity. And that affects us not only, like we can say, in the emotional level, but it actually affects us on the chemical level, because that is a biochemistry of the body. And that emotional wave that you perceive from the outside, or that distorted pieces of emotions of other people, they actually change the chemistry of your body. It can be the acidity, it can be the pH, it can affect the way your stomach works. That's why maybe you don't feel comfortable eating in public places, or you feel like you cannot eat with certain people or with certain stimulations, or your digestion for some reason just doesn't work. You don't digest it. The emotional background can actually impact that. It can make you nervous, you can feel excited, you can feel agitated. Your body can get a bit swollen when you don't process, when the body cannot cope with processing those emotions. And as we say, the chemistry of the body changes. I feel, especially if somebody was very emotional in front of me and I had no choice but to be there, I could feel like all kinds of knots in my stomach. I can feel my solar plexus, and then later I know that it will take time for me get back to my normal or my neutral state. At the same time, when we are open emotionally, we're seeking for the outside stimulation, because when you're flat, you're not really emotional, you're looking for that agitation, that excitement. It can be already like a program. You can be just like, oh, it's, I need some fun, or I need some people, or I need some stimulation. So here the mechanics really helps us to see what actually is going on. So looking at your chart, this is a very, very important part of your conditioning, to check how much you're impacted by the emotional states of other people. It's very important that you don't make any emotional decisions that you are not because that's what's going to happen. The feelings around you, they're going to impact you, and those are not your feelings. They are borrowed. If you go back to your neutral state, your decision will be different. So it's not good to make emotional decisions, neither for emotionally defined or for emotionally open people. Now let's look at the emotionally defined. So your solar plexus is defined, and you have a constant emotional wave, a constant chemistry, but it can your emotional wave can hit low, or it can go up. And there are different types of emotional waves, because there are different channels involved in the formation of a different wave. So you can feel, you experience your emotionality in a different way. I actually, when I do reading, this is what I observe. People who are open emotionally, they tend to feel emotional because they're impacted from the outside and they experience it so intense, so they think they're emotional. And people who have their emotions defined and they have a constant process, they are actually more stable. They're supposed to be more stable, and they sometimes don't even notice their process. And maybe they can feel it as a background, but they don't have usually very good observation of their emotional process. So the first thing you need to do if you're emotional is to actually notice when you're high level, when your wave is at the top, and when you descend, and when you hit the low. When you're low, it doesn't mean you're upset or unhappy, but that might mean that you're just quiet and you feel like being quiet, and maybe you're not very open to interactions. And if you force yourself to interact with other people, if you force yourself to be your normal bubbly self, it can arise that you explode, and other people can actually feel that you are not emotionally stable in that moment because you're going against your wave. You would like to stay alone and you went with others. It's going to impact you and other people. So that's why emotional people, that's their authority. That's always will be your emotional. If it's defined in the body graph, that's something that is your authority, is your, even if you're a generator, you're going to be an emotional generator. You have to check your responses as well according to your emotional wave. You will need to wait a little to see your clarity. And observing your emotional process can take up to a year to get like clear on what actually happens, how you experience it. You will have to learn to respect it because most probably you didn't have a chance, and when you were low you still had to be doing certain things because you told yourself you must. When you were like all excited and happy and you were making your emotional decisions. So that's why there is no general or one rule for everyone, and that's why it's like so important to know your design and to know what exactly leads you. And it's very, very important to know if you're emotional or not.